Back But with Him we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Whether we live under Christ. We live under Christ. Paul said to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Is He your life? Do you love Him more than these? No. Whether we live under Christ. Whether we live under the Lord. And whether we die unto the Lord. You get that? Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. Are you afraid of death? Me neither. But I ain't ready to die now, just for the record. My daddy, I told you I held him while his heart beat for the last time, but just a few hours before that, he told me, he said, I'm ready to go home. And I know what he was talking about, but I didn't want to face it. And I said, Dad, I can't take you home. They got you on all this quick. He said, no, I'm ready to go home. And I kept, beating around the bush. He said, you let me die. He was ready to go home to be with the Lord. This life didn't have nothing left to hold him. He had completed what the Lord had called him to do, and he was ready to go home. But I remember as a little boy, before I got saved, and even after I got saved, them funeral homes, I didn't yike them. I didn't like that formaldehyde. I didn't like that smell that you smelled when you went in them funeral homes. I've been in a lot of hospitals with my daddy, a lot of nights in the hospital. I didn't like them. I didn't like going up and down the halls and catching glimpses in the rooms of the shape people was in. I've been in emergency rooms with him and seen people come in that had been traumatized. I didn't like it. It's natural for death to scare us. That's the flesh. But when I got saved, this right here tells me I belong to the Lord. Whether I live or whether I die, so I'm a winner either way. It don't matter if I live or die, I belong to the Lord. He'll bless me down here or He'll bless me over there. The grave don't have no victory, death don't have no sting. You really believe that? Amen. Well, verse number 9 says, to this end, for to this end, Christ both died and rose and revived, that He might be Lord both of the dead and of the living. Second Kings chapter number 6 talks about Elisha. The king of Syria was at war with Israel, and the king of Assyria was trying to track the king of Israel. He's trying to oppress him. He was setting up an ambush for him. Every time he'd get something set up, it never panned out. The king would go a different way. This happened not 2 times, but at least 3 or more times. And the king of Assyria said, we've got a spy in the camp. Somebody's telling the king of Israel where we're setting up. We've got a traitor amongst us. One of the men spoke up and said, no, king. Said, there's a prophet down there in Israel by the name of Elisha. Said, he's telling everything you say in secret. He's telling old Jehoram in private. Said, there's no way we can catch him as long as Elisha's down there. He said, well, I'll tell you what, let's do. Where is Elisha? They said, well, he's in Dothan. So he sent an army down there after Elisha. One morning, old Elisha's servant got up, so he put the coffee on. He went bouncing out to get the paper. He looked out there, and there's a Syrian army had him surrounded. Had the whole city of Dothan compassed. Son, he come back in the house and said, Master, said, we're surrounded. Said, it's over. The Syrians is out there. We don't stand a chance. Old Elisha prayed. His little servant's eyes were open. He looked out there and there was a mighty host, a chariots of fire and horses of fire out there surrounding the Syrian army. Old Elisha went out to meet them. He said, who are you boys looking for? They said, we're looking for Elisha. Elisha prayed and God smote him with blindness. He said, boys, tell you what, said, you're at the wrong place. He said, if you're this man you're looking for, he said, if you'll follow me, I'll take you to him. Guess what he did? Took him 12 miles to the capital city of Israel. He led them old blind boys right downtown Samaria and took them to the town square. And then guess what old Elisha did? He prayed that they would receive their sight. God gave them their sight back, and here they are right downtown, the middle of the capital city of Israel. And King Jehoram said, Elisha, let's kill him. Elisha said, are you crazy? He said, we ain't going to kill these boys. He said, give them something to eat. He fed them. King Jehoram said, what are we doing this for? He said that they might know that there's one true God in heaven, a God in Israel that's way bigger than the God they're serving. Amen. They sent them old boys back to King Ben-Hadad of Syria. Well, old Ben-Hadad of Syria didn't like that too well. They said they want to play rough. God bless you. We'll just take the whole army down there. They took the whole army down there and they surrounded Samaria, the capital city. They besieged it. They wasn't letting any food go in or anybody go out. And they were starving to death. Old Jehoram was passing by on the wall and there's a woman that stopped him. You can read about it in chapter 6. She said, King, she said, I got a problem. He said, what is it? She said, I made a deal with another lady that we would boil and eat my son yesterday, and today we were supposed to boil and eat her son. She said, yesterday we boiled and ate her son, my son, and today we're supposed to eat her son, but she's hid him, and she won't bring him out. You talk about a famine. Sounds a bad famine. Jehoram read his clothes. He said, this day, today, be it done more to me if the head of Elisha stands on his head. The king had all he could take. He said, we're going to get to the bottom of it today. They went down there to Elisha. He was in his house there in Samaria. Elisha knew they was coming. He said, boys, I'm going to tell you something. Tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow, a measure of fine flour will be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel. And the porter, the keeper of the gate that was with Jehoram said, you're crazy, Elisha. He said, what's God going to do? Open up the floodgates of heaven? What's He going to do? Open up the windows of heaven and pour it out? How in the world is that going to take place? Elisha told him, said, I'll tell you what, you're going to see it, but you're not going to eat of it. That night, I'll read you these scriptures. 2 Kings chapter number 7. Verse number 4. Now back up to verse number 3. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate. The reason that they were the entering in of the gate, because they were lepers. They were not allowed to live inside the city. They had to live in a leper colony outside the city. And they had small gates that individuals could possibly come in and go out without this great Syrian host busting up the city. When they besieged the city, they would camp around it. These were probably thousands and thousands of soldiers. And they had the city surrounded where no supplies could go in and out. And the idea was when they starved them out, they would break up the city or that they would surrender. But here in the gate that night of the city was 4 leprous men. It says, and they said one to another, why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die. And if we sit still here at the gate, we'll die also. Now therefore come, and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die. These 4 leprous men said, boys, what have we got to lose? Said, if we sit here in the gate, we're going to die. I mean, we got leprosy. They had a disease in those days that was incurable. If they simply done nothing, they were going to die. If they got into the city, if they went inside the gate, they was going to die because the famine was in there. Well, they said, boys, what have we got to lose? Why don't we go to this Syrians? They got the bread. They got the money. Maybe they'll keep us alive. I want to ask you tonight, if you sit in your pew tonight and you're lost, you're going to die. If you leave this church tonight and go out in the world without Christ, you're going to die. But why not give Jesus a try? What have you got to lose? Why not take the most reasonable option and give Jesus a try? Maybe He'll save you alive. Maybe He'll give you eternal life. Let's just drop the maybe word. I'm telling you on the authority of God's Word, if you do what the book says, He'll save you alive. He'll give you eternal life. He's got an inheritance for you. He's got a plan and a purpose for your life. So I'm asking you, what are you doing sitting there tonight? Why would you not give Jesus a try? You know what the old lepers did? They said, well, there's no sense of us sitting here and die. That's just plumb crazy. Even the chicken got better sense than that. They said, we're going to try the Syrians out. You know what they did? They went out there and guess what? These thousands, this multitude of Syrians that had the city surrounded, they were all gone. You see, the Lord miraculously sent the sound to become an army. And the Syrians said the Egyptians and the Hittites, the Israelites have hired them and they're coming upon us and some are going to wipe us out. You know what they done? You know what the devil done? He run for it. That's what the devil done, son. He packed his bags. He got out of Bethel. He got out of town. He run for it because he heard the sound of a mighty rushing wind. And them old lepers went out there and there ain't nobody there. Some they began going through the tents. Some they began getting the Hershey bars out of the cabinets. Some they got them a big old steak out of the freezer. Some they was cooking gravy and biscuits. Some one of them making bread. You ever eat breakfast for supper? Yes. One of them's cooking eggs. Some they had the bacon frying. The Syrians left it all. They left the credit cards on the counter. Left the cheese in the refrigerator. They left the car in the garage. Them old lepers, son, they gathering up the gold and the silver and that flour. All that stuff in the tents, all the raiment. Some they're getting all them good gospel CDs out of the CD player. All the flat screen TV they could carry. And you know what they said? They were taking it and hiding it. And I said, wait a second. I said, this ain't good. We can't heap all this up to ourselves, and babies are dying inside the gate. We can't take all this gold and silver, all this food, and mamas are eating their babies. We can't heap all this good stuff to ourselves, and papas and nanas are burying their grandchildren inside the gate. They said, we got to go tell them. I said, we ain't got a choice. The right thing to do is to go tell them. Before daylight that night, they went to the gate and they told the porter, and they said, the Syrians are gone. Said all their substance is out here just sitting there. All their money, all their gold, all their food. The porter, he sent a message to the king. King said it's a trap. Said they're waiting out in the mountains. Said as soon as we open the gates and go out, said they're going to rush us. Thank God somebody had a little sense, spoke up and said, well, why don't we send a couple of horsemen out to check and see if what they said is true? They sent a couple of chariots out. They went out and they tracked the Syrians all the way to the Jordan River. They had left their stuff behind where they had fled. Some men, they had leaving everything behind. Some they was leaving shoes, running out of their shoes, and they could see the spoil all the way to where they crossed the Jordan River, some 12 miles away, or 20 miles away. They come back and said, it's true. It's just all out here for the taking. Guess what happened to the porter? Elisha said, he told him, said, you'll see it, but you won't eat it. When the city found out the Syrians were left and all that was out there, so they run for the gate and they trampled the porter because he mocked God. May I present to you tonight that it's available. All the substance of God, everything you've ever dreamt for. Preacher, what about peace that passes all understanding? Yeah, what about that joy unspeakable? Oh yeah, it's God's got it. Preacher, what about when you just lay down at night, just count your many blessings? Oh, it's here. Yes. Preacher, what about a plan for my life? It's here, it's available. All you got to do is come and get it. Yes. Come get something. That day in the city gate of Samaria, measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, 2 measures of barley for a shekel. Just like Elisha said, there was a big demand on food and the price skyrocketed. When they came out and all that food was there, the price fell. Supply and demand. What's your demand like tonight? Do you need the Lord? Are you saved? If you were to die tonight, preacher, I don't want that to happen, but it's possible. I know a preacher friend told me he preached a revival one night. There was a couple visited. It was raining that night. It was foggy. It was cold. And that was the first time they'd been to that church. And they waited a long time during the invitation. Nobody would come. That older couple that night left. There was a creek just down from the church. They evidently didn't know their way around, and they went down the road to turn around. And they backed off into that creek. They found them the next morning in their car in that creek. Preacher, you trying to scare me? No, I'm just telling you, I wouldn't gamble another moment if I was you. If I knew what it took to be saved, I wouldn't hesitate one more second. I'd come to Jesus. I wouldn't sit there. I wouldn't sit in the gate. What have you got to lose? But what have you got to gain? Let's all stand. If you need to come tonight, if you need to pray, or whatever you need, if you need to be saved, you come on. It's your opportunity.
It's hard to see now. You feel you're walking all alone. But He's there around. With a storm around you.
let Brother Gene, if you would come, brother. He's one of our missionaries.